Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Namaste Center. It's been a little remiss. I've been a little remiss actually on the videos lately. For some reason, the uploads just haven't been working. So I'm keeping the faith and I'm staying optimistic and knowing that it's going to happen. And this one's going to work out, and so are all the other ones. I just got to find a way. So for those of you that do, it's interesting. I didn't really realize so many people were watching these until I stopped putting them up, and people are like, well, where's the video? So I'm like, wow, that's great. So thank you for listening. So today I want to talk a little bit about an experience we had here yesterday, which was beyond wonderful. It was, of course, many of you know Reverend Shelley Entine and Sammy Lipscomb, who Shelley teaches here on a regular basis, has for a long time. I've known her for years and years from Florida, and she's a fellow ADL minister and great teacher and astrologer, and can't say enough about her. And of course, Sammy Lipscomb also was one of my first ministerial students, and I had the pleasure of working with her one-on-one. And what a change. I mean, this woman has stepped into her power. It's beautiful and amazing at the same time. And so together, we had this women's energy clearing circle. And it was fantastic. And we had a great turnout. We had about 20 ladies here. Just for you men, I said the next time we have to include men in this. This is not fair to keep this just to us women, because it was so powerful and beautiful. So there will be another one coming up soon. But so much of what we worked on as a group, we sat in a circle and we used ideas and practices from the Emotion and Body Code, revised a bit and expanded upon a bit. But it was a great sacred experience, and we literally came together as a group of women who chose to heal and release all those energy blocks and trapped emotions, and not only in our individual lifetimes, but for many lifetimes beyond, and our ancestral lineage. And it was, I think that there were a lot of you there yesterday, and I bet you can all attest that the energy from when we started to ended was dramatic. Would you agree with that? It was really something else. It was a great experience. And so as I was experiencing it, besides just loving every bit of it and just being with wonderful people, I also had this real epiphany, a deeper understanding than I had in the past about the power of this work. And it seemed as though, well, here we are, 20 ladies coming together, and we're, rubbing our heads and doing this and that, and it felt good and it was powerful, no doubt. I mean, I've experienced this many times before, but what I got yesterday was the ripple effects of this work. And it wasn't just 20 ladies who came in and felt better at the end of 2 hours, but this work went out into our entire planet, and then beyond our planet, and then lifetimes ahead of us and lifetimes behind us and our ancestors. And it was really just a confirmation and an experience of understanding the oneness of all things and the timelessness of all people and all things. And so I was just having that thought go through my mind, like, wow, this is something so sacred and powerful, and not to be taken lightly, because we are a powerful group here. We may not have a big mega church, and that's not really my goal, and I don't think it's really the goal of anyone here, but it is a place where we come together to tap into that part of us which is sacred, and to remember who we are in truth. And the more we do that collectively or individually, collectively the whole game changes for our entire world. And our world is for sure calling out for love right now. It's calling out for healing. And it's amazing. I mean, day after day, everything is up. I mean, of course, now it's 24/7 on this encounter in Syria and where we're going with that. And there's conflicts and genocide that we don't even hear about. It's a lot of stuff up. And sometimes it can just seem like, well, I'm just going to go turn off lights in my bedroom and just leave this all and it's crazy. Or we can just do our own inner work. And as each of us commits to that inner healing, inner work, as A Course in Miracles says in other teachings, since we're all connected, there's only one of us here in truth. We're just acting out different roles in the play, you know, but individually, you know, we may seem like I'm Charlotte and you're Ellen and so on and so forth, but we are all one, and we're all teaching and learning from each other. So I don't necessarily have to go anywhere and do anything. All I have to do is turn inward and go into my heart space. And when I do that, then everybody benefits, because we're not separated from anyone or anything. And yeah, we hear that, we know it at some level. But yesterday, I think, notched it up a bit for me, because I was like, wow, this is something really amazing going on here. And so the work to be done is just in small groups. One of the great quotes from Margaret Mead says, never doubt the power of one person or a small group, because a small group of thoughtful people could change the world. And indeed, it's really the only thing that ever has. And that's what I see with us here. You know, it's not about gathering. It's quality, not quantity. It's about each of us taking the seriousness of our role here on this planet and living from that place of love and healing. And every time, as A Course in Miracles says, every beneficent thought I choose affects the entire universe. I mean, no one is exempt. And so it's awesome. I mean, it's fantastic. And, you know, of course, yesterday we went through many different topics, for lack of a better word, to heal. And one thing that came up and really touched the entire group were the tears of our ancestors and the tears in our own life. And this was very much related to women's issues, but I also felt the tears of just what's happening on our planet now. And, you know, to let those tears be shed and honored and released to love was a very powerful experience. Well, as I'm driving home yesterday, I was very tired. I got here early and I wanted to go home, and I have my little Saturday routine. I don't really want to do anything on Saturday evening except prepare for Sunday and be, you know, quiet. And I get a phone call, and it was a woman who had only been here once before, and she was devastated. And her son had just committed suicide the day before, and she had found him, and she said, can you come up and speak, you know, just be with us? And of course, yes, I mean, there was no question. So I drive up, you know, up north of here a bit and spend some time with the family, and it was really so moving, because one thing that we, you know, of course, when I got there, they showed me the pictures, and this young man was beautiful and happy and, you know, just a vibrant being. And I just see, you know, these young kids that do this to themselves, feel like that's their only option, do this. This world it feels like the energy in this world right now is tough for a lot of people. And these gentle, loving beings like this young man come in, and it's just too much. It really is. And so although I wish he could have found a better way to deal with it, and God knows the family had done everything humanly possible to support him, you know, I'm grateful that he has found his place of peace. And so, you know, I don't know about you guys, but there's been a lot of death around me lately. A lot of, you know, my aunt yesterday morning, it was expected, but 93 years old, made her transition, and she was such an instrumental person in my life. She was a real solid, spiritually based woman, and funny and loving, and big part of my life growing up. And so, you know, the sadness, it was interesting when my sister called. My tears were not for her, because I was like, thank God she's free of her suffering. But my tears were for her children, my cousins, and thinking, you know, that's such a loss. And and my dad, you know, it was his only sibling still alive, and you know, that's where my sadness came. You know, the death part is, I've made peace with that. I really get it. I get that that death is a beautiful thing. But on the other hand, we need to honor that sadness and be patient with it and not feel guilty, you know, because just because we know better doesn't mean that it hurts. And so to be here, you know, in this community and to be of service, that's part of it. And not to sit here and offer any wise counseling, you know, I just mostly listened. I didn't sit here and jump in and say, well, read this book, do this, do that. It's just listening and opening your heart and sending blessings and just being led by Spirit. And it was a great honor to experience that. Just 2 weeks ago, one of my great heroes in golf, many of you may know, I had a 30-year profession as a golf professional, as a teacher and a player. And there was a fella in my hometown, his name was Bill Campbell. And if you're a golfer, you know who he is. If you're not, you probably never heard of him. But he was the most famous amateur golfer in the world. He was a member at the country club where I grew up, and I didn't know who the man was. I would go out when I was 10 years old, and I'd have my bag on my shoulder, and his house was right behind the first green, and he'd come trotting down the hill with his 2 dogs, only 2 dogs allowed on the golf course. He was the U.S. amateur champion, head of the United States Golf Association. I have great memories of this guy, and so he'd carry his bag, and we'd play some holes, and we'd bet, you know, a little bit. So I'd go home and I'd say, yeah, Dad, Mr. Campbell and I played today, and my dad's like, Shar, you know who he is? And I'm like, yeah, he's good, he beats me. I said, you know, I was like, he didn't beat me. And, you know, so I was like, you know, he's like, he's really good. And I don't think it was until I was years later realized who I was playing with. I mean, people would give their eye tooth. He's a legend, you know, but the lessons, you know, he was always such a gentleman. He was gentle, he was supportive, he was not arrogant. I mean, like I said, his little polo shirts were not new. You know, they were frayed at the sleeve, so, you know, I didn't know who he was. I didn't have a clue. But I learned so many life lessons and was blessed so much by him. And so, you know, this reflecting time, you know, to value everything in life. It's like this, this time has been extremely busy, you know, but it's great. I mean, so many good things are happening. And, you know, it's real easy to focus on all of these horrible things that are happening in the world and in our personal life. But we need to start giving attention and focus to that which is good. And there's a lot of good out there right now, a lot of good. And the blessings when a loved one leaves us. It was, you know, instead of focusing on the suffering of my aunt and this young man and Mr. Campbell, the sadness of him being gone, is look at the blessings they brought to this planet. And, you know, it's everybody, every one of us has a huge role in this life. And, you know, we do make a difference. What seeds are we planting? You know, how can we give and serve? And when you come from that spirit, everything changes because you see that there is a meaning and a purpose. And so when we're doing this clearing, you know, what are we really doing it for? Well, it's basically for us to get back to the memory and knowing of who we are in truth, which is spirit. It's changeless, formless, and eternal, and it's in all of us. And the same spirit that dwells in me dwells in every person here and every person out there and every person on our planet. And when we get to that, we do the clearing. Since we're all one, we're all lifted by this gesture, by this intention. And it's hugely powerful. Well, you know, as I've been, this is another thing that's been very interesting for me lately, is I've had this awareness, and of course here we are, what do we do here at the Namaste Center? We have classes, seminars, workshops, Sunday service. We offer, you know, a cornucopia of spirituality and enlightenment. And so here we are doing this, and yet I'm knowing that the more we attach to these things, the less we're able to rise above. And so am I saying not to participate and use these great classes and seminars and read books and do things? Absolutely not. But it's about letting the Spirit of God within you sit there with you and let you take what you need to move you up the spiral. Because I do believe a new spirituality is emerging. And just like everything else, the practicality of it is, use it to be helpful. I've been a student of A Course in Miracles for almost 30 years now. And I'm finding less and less interest, not in the Course, because I value it so much, it's helped me so much and helped others, but as far as attaching meaning to it, or attaching my, giving my power to it. And actually that's what the Course says. That's not what the Course is about. It's all about going inside, being led from our hearts. Everything is leading us to that space right now. What would love do? How can I be of service? Just be open, be led, be guided. Because the new paradigm is not the one that this world is. The paradigm of this world today is crumbling. I really feel that. And that's not a negative or a bad thing. It's just time. And now we're moving into the new earth, Eckhart Tolle's book, The New Earth. And we're emerging into a world that transcends anything this world has to offer. I believe it's an earth based on collaboration and cooperation, where everybody's needs are met, everybody feels supported and loved. But it's up to us, a small group of people, to take the initiative and live from that place and be servants to everybody so that we can evolve into that space. And it's coming. I really know it. And I think it's time, too. Well, there's... those of you that have never been here before, you can tell we're pretty loose. And, over the years, people have tried to, put me in a little box and say, well, you need to have more structure and order. You do that to me and I'm like a deer in the headlights. It's like, I can't operate that way. So don't count on there being a lot of structure here ever. That's just not going to, unless Spirit, so if you're looking for that, you're in the wrong place. Run now. Oh no, don't. But anyway, I just love this quote, and it just makes me feel good, and it just resonates so much. And I'd like to close with this today and then go into a meditation. But it was a quote from Steve Jobs, and you may have heard it. But he says, "Here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs and the square holes, the ones who see things differently. They're not fond of rules. You can quote them, you can disagree with them, glorify or vilify them, but the only thing you can't do is ignore them because they change things. They push the human race forward, and while some may see them as crazy, we see genius because the ones who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones that do." Isn't that wonderful? Yeah. So here's to all you misfits. So here's to the crazy ones. Yeah. So anyway, I would like to offer a chance to go to meditation, and let me just make sure I get this set up. So if you just want to get comfortable and take a few deep breaths. Yeah. Thank you. Namaste.